Welcome to Manila Updates TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Manila, Philippines. Tensions are rising in the West Philippine Sea as the world's attention turns to this critical maritime crossroads. Today, January 9, 2026, the Philippine government has enacted a landmark law defining its maritime territory with unprecedented clarity and determination. This bold move directly challenges China's expansive claims, sending a clear message to the international community and asserting Philippine sovereignty under international law. The Philippine Maritime Zones Act is more than just a legal document. It's the culmination of years of legal battles, diplomatic negotiations, and tense standoffs at sea. For Filipino fishermen, who have long faced harassment and intimidation in their own waters, this law brings renewed hope for protection and the promise of access to their traditional fishing grounds. The law now provides a solid legal foundation for defending the country's exclusive economic zone and continental shelf, empowering the Navy and Coast Guard to act with greater confidence. The government frames this as a peaceful, lawful act, one that aims to secure vital resources and safeguard the nation's future for generations yet to come. Allies and partners have voiced strong support, emphasizing the importance of upholding the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, as the bedrock of maritime order. Beijing, however, has swiftly condemned the move, calling it illegal, provocative, and a threat to regional stability. The world is watching closely. Will this new law deter further Chinese aggression, or will it provoke an even stronger reaction from Beijing? The Philippines has now transformed a hard-fought legal victory into concrete national policy, marking a turning point in its maritime strategy. The stage is set for a new and uncertain chapter in this long-running dispute, with the stakes higher than ever before. The question now looms large: how will China and the rest of the world respond to this bold and historic assertion of Philippine maritime rights? The South China Sea dispute is a long-standing and complex conflict over territory and valuable resources in a vital global waterway that serves as a lifeline for international trade and energy supplies. Several countries, including Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan, have overlapping claims to parts of the sea, but China's are by far the most expansive and assertive, often backed by a strong military presence. China's infamous 9-dash line, now redrawn as a 10-dash line, claims nearly 90% of the South China Sea, based on vague and controversial historic rights that are not clearly defined. In contrast, the Philippines grounds its claim in international law, specifically the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, which grants a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, from its coastline. The dispute escalated dramatically in 2012 when China seized control of Scarborough Shoal, a traditional Filipino fishing ground located well within the Philippine EEZ, sparking outrage and concern in the Philippines. This event pushed the Philippines to seek legal recourse, challenging China's sweeping claims before an international tribunal in hopes of a fair resolution. The Philippine position is rooted in a globally recognized legal treaty, not in ambiguous or disputed historical narratives, giving it a strong foundation in international law. This fundamental difference, law versus historical assertion, lies at the very core of the conflict and shapes the arguments on both sides. The Philippines aim to prove that its rights under UNCLOS could not be erased or overridden by China's sweeping, legally unfounded claims to almost the entire sea. This set the stage for a high-stakes legal showdown with global implications, drawing the attention of the international community and raising questions about the future of maritime law and regional stability. On July 12, 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague delivered a sweeping legal victory to the Philippines, marking a pivotal moment in the long-standing dispute over the South China Sea. The tribunal ruled that there was no legal basis for China's historic rights within the so-called 9-dash line, a claim that had long been used to justify Beijing's vast territorial ambitions in the region. It affirmed the Philippines' sovereign rights under international law, especially regarding fishing and resource exploration, and condemned China's interference with Filipino fishing activities, which had threatened the livelihoods of countless coastal communities. The ruling dismantled the legal foundation for China's expansive claims and specifically condemned its artificial island building, which had rapidly transformed reefs into military outposts. China immediately rejected the ruling, calling it null and void, and defiantly continued its activities in the South China Sea, including military patrols and construction. The Philippines found itself with a landmark legal victory, but no practical means to enforce it against a far more powerful neighbor, leaving officials frustrated and ordinary citizens uncertain. Diplomatic appeasement and repeated negotiations failed to stop Chinese encroachment as Beijing continued to assert its presence in disputed waters. The arbitral award provided the Philippines with the moral high ground and international support, but the situation on the water remained unchanged for those most affected. Chinese vessels continued to dominate the area, restricting Filipino access to traditional fishing grounds and escalating tensions at sea. It became increasingly clear that a legal victory alone was not enough to alter the reality on the ground or at sea. The Philippines needed to find ways to turn that victory into concrete national policy and real protection for its people and resources. In response to China's disregard for the arbitral award, the Philippines enacted the Maritime Zones Act. This law officially defines the country's maritime zones in line with UNCLOS, shifting from diplomatic protest to legal assertion. It removes ambiguity about Philippine jurisdiction, giving law enforcement a clear mandate to protect national waters. The act harmonizes all Philippine laws with the 2016 arbitral award, integrating it into domestic law. Now all branches of government operate under a unified understanding of maritime territory. The act is a declaration to citizens and the world. The Philippines will defend its rights through peaceful legal means. It strengthens the country's position in future negotiations and international partnerships. The law is a shield, crafted from the very international legal principles China ignores. It provides a powerful tool for consistency in governance and foreign policy. The Philippines is now equipped to actively enforce its sovereign rights. The Maritime Zones Act is also a cartographic statement. It mandates an official map that clearly delineates the nation's maritime boundaries, leaving no room for misinterpretation. The map features the Calayan Island Group and Scarborough Shoal as Philippine territories, reinforcing long-standing claims. It labels the 200 nautical mile EEZ as the West Philippine Sea, asserting identity and sovereignty. The Philippine Rise is included, underscoring rights to resources on both western and eastern seaboards. The map defines the territorial sea, contiguous zone, and EEZ, providing a practical tool for governance and diplomacy. By putting these zones on an official map, the Philippines asserts its claims with clarity and authority. The law and map together strengthen the nation's hand in defending its waters. The new law and map give the Philippines concrete tools to exercise sovereignty. Coast Guard actions are now backed by clear national law, not just international principles. The law empowers robust conservation, combats illegal fishing, and enables sustainable resource management. It provides a legal basis to prosecute foreign entities that damage the marine environment. Incorporating the arbitral award into domestic law strengthens the Philippines' international standing. Diplomats can now point to specific national law, not just an ignored court ruling. The law is an investment in security, prosperity, and national education. The Philippines is now an active enforcer of its rights, using the peaceful power of law. The West Philippine Sea dispute is a clash of historical narratives versus international law. China's 10-dash line is based on so-called historic rights, supported by ancient texts and maps. However, the 2016 tribunal found no evidence of China's exclusive control over these waters. China's historical records show sporadic use, not continuous state administration. The Philippine claim is built on UNCLOS and verifiable historical cartography, not myth. UNCLOS grants rights based on geography, not ancient history, creating stability and equality among nations. The Philippines argues that modern law supersedes vague historical activities. China seeks to dominate. The Philippines respects the rights of all coastal states. The international community must choose support verifiable law or accept unilateral, unsubstantiated claims. The contrast is stark. Law versus myth, equality versus domination. A key piece of evidence for the Philippines is the 1734 Murillo Velarde map, created by Spanish and Filipino cartographers. This map, predating China's 9-dash line by centuries, clearly shows Scarborough Shoal as part of the Philippine archipelago. Presented during the 2016 arbitration, it counters China's narrative of ancient ownership. The map, along with historical treaties like the Treaty of Paris and modern legislative acts, forms a robust foundation for the Philippine claim. Presidential Decree 1596 in 1978 formally claimed the Calayan Island Group. The Philippine case is specific, documented, and aligns with international law. The Murillo Velarde map provides historical context. Treaties and UNCLOS provide legal lineage. Together, they tell a coherent story of a nation defining its territory by law. The Maritime Zones Act and official map are a courageous stand for Philippine sovereignty. By aligning national law with UNCLOS and the arbitral award, the Philippines asserts that right, not might, should govern international relations. The law provides tools to protect territory, manage resources, and secure the nation's future. It dismantles ambiguity, forcing China to respond with legal arguments where its case is weak. The act keeps the issue in international focus, rejecting China's unlawful claims. The Philippine approach, grounded in verifiable maps and treaties, stands on firm legal ground. The country is charting a future defined by law, diplomacy, and resolve. The act is more than a law, it's a symbol of determination to uphold the rules-based order. It reaffirms sovereign rights, challenges China's claims, and inspires other nations. The line is drawn, not in sand, but in the permanent ink of law.